Welcome to She Moves Bravely, a podcast dedicated to empowering women through stories of resilience, courage, and success. I'm your host, Shantae Dent. Today, I am honored to introduce you to a woman who moves bravely. Her name is Maria Romano. Maria, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Shantae. And I'm going to send out hugs and kisses, virtual hugs, if anybody sees this, or if you hear us, I'm going to blow kisses to everybody and blessings.
Well, thank you for all of those blessings, hugs, virtual hugs, and kisses. We appreciate it all. Maria, you are an incredible woman. When I'm looking at your bio and just following what you're doing, this is one thing that speaks volume to me. It's something about inner confidence and inner beauty that exudes and it manifests externally. Where externally they can look like they have it all together, but internally not so much. But what I was able to pick up and grasp throughout our conversations and just seeing the work that you're doing, like this woman is incredible. There's this inner beauty and an inner glow that's shining and manifesting externally. With that being said, I am also honored to connect with you because you are already, before we even press record, been such a blessing in sharing golden nuggets with me. And I just want to thank you for that. And now I'm going to pass the baton to you, Maria, and give you this opportunity to share a little bit about yourself.
Well, what an introduction. Thank you, Shantae. You started off with incredible. And that is something that I never associate that with myself. So I think it's interesting because as women, we just move through it. And as we look back at our lives, you have to remember, I'm a lot older than most of your mompreneurs that are out there or single people out there. I'm in my late 60s. So I look back on my life and go, I guess maybe it was incredible, but you go through it. And that's what I think is incredible about being a female, because we have a lot that we can do. Now, we all hear that term multitask. So I did listen to a podcast that says there is no such thing as multitasking. I disagree, because I think that definitely is a term where, especially if you're a mom out there listening right now, and you might have a child that could be doing something that you need to reprimand them, or the phone's ringing or something is going on, but you're still managing to listen. So kudos to you. Yeah. As I look back, it's interesting as starting my journey. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. So anybody that's from back east,
Yes.
and Jenny from the block is
There
from
you
back
go.
east. Cardi B is okay. But I started out there, big Italian family. And, when I grew up, you have to remember, I was born in the 50s. So women, as I started getting out into the working world, we were still at that cusp where, well, you wound up getting married at a young age. And I did meet somebody. I got married at 18 and it did not work for, a couple of years later. My family moved to Vegas and I came to Vegas. I actually got a job in the rental car industry and I met my husband, Frank, and we opened up a car rental company. And I'll tell you, when you open up your own business, it doesn't matter what, but the car rental industry was a great industry, but you know what? It was never my passion. Yeah. And that's what's important. It was never my passion. And I think that's what women need to do today, and men, is find their passion. However, as what life went through, I went through life, and my late husband, he passed away, obviously, in 2012. He had a heart transplant. So when he had a heart transplant in 1997, he lived 15 years. That was, people will say, a heart attack? No, a heart transplant, completely different. But you know what? We were married 34 years, and I was blessed. I was blessed to have somebody that loved me, and I loved them. And I was there for him the same he would have been for me. So when we talk about relationships, I want everyone to take a moment that you want somebody in your life, when you're choosing a life partner, that's going to be there for you when you're going through challenges. Because if they're going to pick up and walk away, that's not the person for you. That is not, you want somebody it's got to be reciprocal. Anyway, after Frank passed away, actually before he did, we had sold our company, and I went to a wedding ceremony in Las Vegas, a friend of mine. And I said, I think I want to do this. It was a woman. So she was performing a ceremony. So I had to get ordained online in Nevada, I should say. It's a business because we do about 80,000 weddings a year in Las Vegas, just in Las Vegas. And I started out learning how to officiate, and I pounded the pavements, and it wasn't easy. And it took me a while. But, after that journey of getting back out there and not being discouraged, and again, I went from a male dominated industry in the rent-a-car industry to another male dominated industry.
Yeah.
People were, ministers were men. So it's been an interesting journey from there. So, yeah. And so much has evolved since I became a minister, since I started officiating. It's just catapulted into so many other things. It's a great profession, and I teach this too as well.
You do. And Maria, I'm sitting here absorbing every word that comes from your mouth, taking these mental notes. What else can I apply? I encourage listeners all the time, take notes if you can. If your hands are free, jot the golden nuggets down so you don't forget. I really appreciate you, Maria, just interweaving these life lessons that are going to change the trajectory of someone's life. I always try to envision myself in the seat of a listener who she might be struggling in that relationship where she feels like it's not for me, but I don't know if I should make a move. You spoke to her today. I'm thinking about the woman who is considering leaving a career to step into a passion that can be lucrative, yet she's still a bit hesitant. I believe you spoke to her today as well. Now, you sound like you have this exciting career as an officiant. I want to learn more about that. And even when I think about how you described your marriage of 33 years, so beautiful and precious, with a man who loved you to your core and you loved him to his core as well, and transitioned from that place of loss to now helping other couples begin their journey of marriage. What does that look like for you? And I think what I'm really wanting to know is, when you officiate, are you also pouring into those couples the way you've poured to us? And I think we've only been chatting for about 10 minutes or so. What does that look like?
Well, you know what? That is so important because it took me time to develop that. I think as we start something new, it's all about, oh my God, how do I look? How do I sound? And we all get there. That's the bit of that little insecurity, that little lack of confidence. And, we all have those days where that confidence, that C word, tries to creep in, and it's all about mindset. And I go through that at every day sometimes, and I have to stop and say, okay, stop, slap myself and move on. But as with couples, what's important, and as it's evolved, is I don't even look at them as, oh, I wish it was me. Because I've been a widow for 11 years, and I talk to men and women that are looking to find love again, which we'll get into in a few minutes, because it's not an easy journey. But the thing is when I have couples there, I take the time. Now in Las Vegas, I have just a few clients that I work with. So there are chapels that we do a half hour we have with the couples, or some couples I do privately, and I have a little bit longer time with them. But when you get to really hone in, they're there because it's their day and they're in love, no matter what you think. Okay, no matter, even if you think, oh my God, they've only been together 3 weeks. And I've had that happen. But you just learn not to judge, and you learn to say, you know what, we just want to give them the best, because if it was me in their shoes, I would want the best ceremony ever. And that's the key thing is we get so wrapped up in how we look and sound, and it's not about that. It's really about the couple and their guest. That's what I impose upon when I'm teaching this particular course. Because I don't teach people, I'm not going to teach you how to go get the business. I can give you some of that, how to attract leads. What I'm going to teach you about is how to feel your ceremony. Because when you feel your ceremony and ask the right questions and you incorporate the guest, what's going to happen is you're going to have a happy couple that's going to have a memorable experience, because this experience is going to stay with them forever. And it could be recorded, right? It could be on video. So they might be showing it to family members, to grandkids, or down the road, if they're a widow or a widower, they might look at that video and remember the beautiful words you said.
Mhm.
So I think it's so important to really think about, and especially today, because we have friends and family sometimes officiating wedding ceremonies, to really think about who's going to do that for you.
Yeah.
So that's one area. Then I started evolving also into speaking to people to finding love again, because you know what? If you're out there looking to find love, it's so different today.
Yes, it is. What do you share with your clients? Would you give us the privilege of hearing some of the golden nuggets that you share with some of your clients?
Well, most of the people that I speak to, and they are younger people, because it doesn't matter what age you are, you don't want to if you're looking to really find a partner, you don't want to be on that hamster wheel. And I think what happens today is we have social media, right? That's the biggest thing which is a big platform. A lot of people I marry do meet on social media. Now, I've married about 5,000 couples over the last several years. That's how many. So I've had an opportunity to find out how they met.
Yeah.
And 50%, I would say close to that, really do meet online, all ages. So you just need to know how to incorporate working that platform, that app, and not being obsessed with the swipe and swipe and swipe and delete. Because you really need to focus on the actual profile. And if I tell this to men and women, they really need to take the time to fill out that profile, whatever app you're on. It's, would you send a half a resume to somebody if you were looking for that dream job? No.
No.
And if you were sending a picture, would you send a picture of you lying on the beach with your belly out? Absolutely not, right? So you really need to think about when you're putting yourself out there. And then I also get them to look at other ways of meeting people, because it's not just online, getting out and going to meetups, to networking events. Maybe it's at your church, your community. You never know. Pickleball is a big deal, right? I don't play
It
pickleball,
is.
but that's
It's
a
really
big deal.
true.
People meet. You meet in sports, golf. So there's so many different ways not to eliminate just saying, okay, I'm just going to put myself online, putting yourself out there, but being, aware, because as we get a little older, we know what we think we know what we want. Okay. But we don't want to if you're divorced, you don't want to fall into making that same mistake. It's interesting because when I get to marry couples, they have their parents there, and sometimes their parents have been divorced. And then I'll look at, like, especially the men, and this is no offense to men, but usually their previous wife looks a lot like their former wife.
Oh
I just
my,
laugh. I laugh. I said,
interesting.
okay. But I mean, they
Hmm.
look so much alike,
Mhm,
almost like they could
mhm.
be twins. And not the good looks. I mean, some people like blondes, brunettes, whatever it is that you
Yeah.
like, short, tall. But it's interesting because you really need to dig deep. It's not,
Mm.
and I know this is hard because we live in this visual world,
Yeah.
but you really want to find somebody that has a good soul, Shantae.
Mhm.
That's what I teach. I just teach. I don't want to make a career out of, people spending a ton of money with me doing this. And the biggest thing is them getting out of their mindset of what they always thought of, and then just having a different mindset and changing their energy. And that's what I do actually with people that are
Yeah.
looking to find love.
I love it because I imagine for someone who's, I've been married for 17 years. And because of the way my husband and I met through mutual friends, I think I can easily dismiss how finding a potential spouse is not as easy as we think it is. And so your work clearly is essential for individuals. And particularly if you think about that person who might to go directly online. It seems like it's easier and it's quicker. I love how you're encouraging individuals to explore, step out of your comfort zone, go to a different type of event, and enjoy that experience, enjoy that atmosphere, and in a sense, put yourself out there. And I imagine how beneficial it is for them to have someone else come alongside them to point out, different tactics that they can incorporate in order to find that special someone for them. Now, your particular statement about the individual's their soul, that is big. I'm all about inner healing, having peace and wholeness and joy. I am big on emotional intelligence and psychological safety because I realize if a person is not in a space, and not because they've arrived in their 100%, I'm good, I've recovered from everything I've ever endured. But what I do believe is the person should have a mindset, a growth mindset of striving to become constantly, continuously become that better version of themselves. That's great advice for someone who's looking to establish a healthy relationship. And you can tell me, Maria, but I believe sometimes if we're desperate, we might overlook those important factors when it comes to making this decision to join forces with another person. And so I'm glad you honed in on that. Go beyond what that person looks like. Even if you're looking at online profiles, there's so much more, because as you even described the love that your husband had for you and the love you had for him, that's our goal, this unconditional love. When we're going through those tough seasons of life, are you connected with someone who's going to be there for you in the trenches? It's like valley low and mountain high. Can they celebrate with you? That's another area. Can your partners celebrate your wins, or are they jealous of you because you're, striving and moving forward? I like that you cover every aspect of relationships with the individuals you work with.
Thank you. And that is so important because you need to work on yourself first. Okay. It's interesting. So we all have heard the Swiftie, everybody's, obsessed with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of young women that are out there thinking, I want to meet somebody like him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you doing to meet somebody of that caliber? What work are you doing on yourself? And it's not just the physical. I think the physical, yes, is important because it says I'm healthy. I care for myself. Those are things that are important. But also, what are you doing emotionally, spiritually? What are you doing to feed your mind? And I think that's the biggest key. And even as you get older, if you want to attract that person in your life that you admire, I mean, I'm looking for somebody, and listen, let me tell you, what I share with my clients, I've been through. So it's not like I haven't been online. It's not like I didn't make some mistakes or poor judgment when I started dating again, because I was naive. I was 23 when I married my husband, Frank, completely different in my middle 57 when I started, 58 when I started dating. So that was completely different for me, and learning that there's a lot of women and men just like me. So I find that I wrote a book called Going from Just One to a Plus One during the pandemic, a small book about finding love again. And I have a chapter called Dysfunctional Detoxing, where you need to just think about your past relationships, whether you're even a widow or a widower, what you like, what you didn't like, what you maybe contributed to the relationship that it didn't work, and what you could have done differently. And those are things that I always suggest that you go through and ask those questions. But I always ask somebody, so what are you reading lately? And if they're reading even novels that are interesting, that's great. If they're consumed with watching the news all the time, it's like, okay, I know. I'm not saying I don't want to judge. They're obsessed with what's going on in the world. And I definitely don't bury my head in the sand, but I do try to walk through life with my own aura, my own bubble.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for, because really when you come home, you said something that's important. You want to know that you're in a safe space with somebody that you love, that you can trust them with your innermost secrets. And you shouldn't be doing that on the first date or the second date. That takes time to build that trust.
Yes.
And that's what it's about.
I shared with a friend of mine, this was probably a few months ago, we were talking about life and relationships, and I was telling her about something my husband and I were going to do, or we were going somewhere, and she looked at me and she said, okay, you are so excited. And I said, I am, my husband's my best friend. Like, that's my buddy. I love him. We
That's right.
work through whatever we have to work through. But at the end of the day, oh, yes, we are a unit. And she said, well, it's just that some of my friends, some of my girls, when they talk to me about their husbands or, the person they're in a relationship with, it's a lot of complaining. They don't seem happy and they're not looking forward to, a trip or a vacation. And I just kind of thought, wow, that's an interesting, odd statement. But here it is. It's the reality of individuals where they are in a relationship or a marriage, but because they did not take the time to be, to do that prerequisite work, you end up being in these relationships with people and you're full of regrets. And it's not to say things can't change. I believe when people are open and you're having open, healthy, even those tough conversations, you two can come together and resolve the issues and work through it and become better as you are becoming one. It is possible. You're saying, Maria, that you encourage, as you said, starting with yourself, but also your clients. These are questions you should ask, because we all probably have our list, 5 to 10 questions, our wants, our needs and desires. But I like that you partner with your clients to help them to maybe expand or fine tune that list. These are essential questions that can easily allow you to make a decision in about 5 or 10 minutes, right? In a conversation, like you said, what book are you reading? That can help you grasp a little bit about the person that you are looking forward to, be in a relationship with. So how can men and women connect with you and begin their journey to establishing and finding a new relationship?
Well, all they have to do is go to my website, True Love Knots, TrueLoveKnots.com. They can email me, maria@trueloveknots.com. I provide anybody with free content as far as dating tips, downloading a dating profile. And then, of course, I'll be out there speaking again. With COVID, it was a little difficult. It was more online. But now I'm getting back out there and giving just workshops and just giving people some information on how to find somebody and go through life feeling healthy and not feeling rejected and not comparing yourself depending upon what your age is. So I think that's so important. And I love that you and your husband go on vacation, because that is so important.
Okay.
Statistics show that couples that go away together rekindle their relationship, and their bond even grows stronger.
Yes, yes.
Even if it's a night by yourselves or a couple of nights by yourselves, a staycation, whatever, it makes all the difference in the world.
It does. It does. Well, Maria, thank you for being this individual, not only officiating weddings, which I have no doubt the experience is memorable, but thank you for making yourself available to help people start strong so they can finish strong. I love what you're doing. And I hope everyone who's listening, and it might not be you, it could be your friend, your cousin, or your auntie, or your uncle, and they need to connect with Maria. Go ahead and pass her information along to those individuals. She's ready to help them make adjustments and walk into a new season of life in a new healthy relationship. Maria, thank you again for being with us today.
You're so welcome. And, I always tell people, share episodes. You never know how you're going to impact somebody else's life, because you know what? You got up today. It's a gift, right? And that's because somebody needs you. And I really believe that. I'm so blessed to have met you. Thank you so much, Shantae.
Thank you.